Hello, welcome back. I'm David Widmar with Agricultural Economic Insights, joining you for the chart of the week. And this chart is coming from soybean crush economics, the soybean crush situation. A lot of attention in the last few weeks that oil is again sort of driving the economics behind that decision to crush or not to crush a soybean. Variations of that chart that I have right in front of you is what's being shared a lot. And the idea here is if you go back all the way to maybe 2010, oil accounts for about 35% of the value of crushing of soybeans. The rest comes from primarily soybean meal. A few years ago, when crush was in high demand, we had high oil prices, very strong meal prices. We had oil actually climb up and grab more than 50% of the share for the first time. And then it backed off a little bit, but still stayed at or above that 35%. We didn't see a big drop in oil share into below the average, but we've seen a steady creep up over the last year or so. And you can see even in 2025, this continued to tick higher. And here in the last few weeks, it's jumped above 25%. But I think this only captures one part of it. I think there's maybe a better chart that I want to share and set up for you guys today. The idea here from this is not sharing, not necessarily the share, but it's the absolute dollars that each of these components bring. We got the chart here going back to 2020, and you can see at the beginning of 2020, oil was worth about $4 per crushed soybean. Meal was worth around $7 per crushed soybean. And then you can see as we moved into 2021, 22, and parts of 2023, oil and meal together were getting very close. In a few occasions, oil eclipsed meal. So we had more value coming out of the oil. And then, of course, meal stayed somewhat strong as oil faded in 23 and 24. But what's really, I think, not captured in that first chart is what's been going on here in 2025. That share has crept up due to oil going up a little bit, but really from meal also falling a lot. And so you can see this situation. We've had meal, the value of crushed meal fading really since 2024. So we had about 18 months of this dropping soybean meal price. It's been weighing on crush margins. And you can see a situation here where now, again, oil is driving more than 50% of the value, and a lot of excitement's kind of been circulating around that. But it's not because we're getting really high crush margins in absolute terms. It's this relative relationship. And the relationship is oil has improved from about $5 per bushel, approaching $7. But meal, of course, has fallen quite a bit. In the article, I encourage you to take a look. I've linked it below. One thing that we pointed out here is that meal prices in the last few weeks have been the lowest that we've seen going back to 2010. That isn't adjusted for inflation. That is a nominal observed value. So we have a situation where we have really low soybean meal prices. If this continues, you can start to think about a lot of conversations going on about what are we going to do about the soybean meal if we're going to continue to see even more of these crush facilities come online. That's all I have for this week. Until next time, stay curious.